everybody, it's Kate Richburg, and it's great to see you all on this Wednesday live broadcast. As you can see, my friends, I still am arranging all of my things here at my studio. I'm going to move this a little bit over here to kind of get the light out of the way. There we go. I think that's a little bit better. I'm still working out the details of this. A studio redo is not done in a day, or at least even faster than a couple of weeks. So I'm getting there slowly but surely. But it is great to have all of you all here. Today we're going to work with bugles. And as you can see, I went in and I made a quick little discount today. I wanted to share it with you. Let me go over here to our banners. And you can see it scroll down at the bottom, but I'll put it up here so you can see it. The viewer exclusive coupon today, it's not anywhere else, and it's only for those of you who are watching. You can enter code BUGLES20 at checkout, and you'll save 20% on all of our new bugle beads and our 11-aughts, because I'm going to show you a couple of variations on a theme for this pattern, and I'm going to add some 11-aughts as well. This piece really goes in our Tricks to Looming extravaganza that we've got on the website. So I'm going to share some tips and techniques with you about finishing off looming. We're going to look at the project that I have here, look at the new bugle beads, and it's just going to be I think it's going to be a fun broadcast today. It's great to be back live and have all that great bead extravaganza stuff done and dusted, right? It was a really fun weekend. I'm still recovering. I think I have TGBE hangover afterwards. It was such a great weekend, and thank you all so much for all of you all for your support and everything this past weekend. I see all you all here jumping in. People are saying that they really love that necklace you received from Leslie Janice. And I know that you said you are going to wear it in a couple weeks when you and I go live together. So I'm excited to see that on you. So yes, let's do it. All the bugles you can see here, all the collection, not only our new bugles, but our old bugles. I'm going to show the new ones. We're going to look at like the sizes and stuff. And then I want to show you my project. I'm pretty stoked about it. And then I'm going to show you some variations on that. So we've got so much. Erica, I'm so glad you're here with the live. And my friend, I hope that your chemo is tolerable and effective. Those are my wishes for you. Thank you. The Great Bead Extravaganza was fabulous. Mark your calendars for July. Let me tell you exactly when the dates are. Bear with me here. Oh, Leslie, I'm sorry to hear that your husband is under the weather with shingles. I had shingles a couple of years ago. Actually, it was pre-pandemic. And I had it over when we had our bead retreat. So the one before the pandemic might have been 2019. I came down with shingles like the day before. Thankfully, I got on meds really fast. So I got an antiviral, and so it was pretty light. So I kept it under wraps, and only afterwards did I tell everyone. I think, Janice, you weren't at that one. You had to stay home. Emily and I ran it, and I think I had shingles, or maybe we were all together. I can't remember. Anyway, pre-pandemic, it's a blur, but shingles are no joke, my friends. So get your vaccinations for sure. TGBE summer the summer market is preview night, Friday the 19th, Saturday the 20th, and Sunday the 21st. Okay, so that's coming up. So mark your calendars. All the 11/aughts as well. So because I'm going to show you, I think that the bugles and the 11/aughts kind of go hand in hand here. So I want to show you some other things that you can do with this. But let's get to it, shall we? I'm going to put the let me put the banner back up. The discount is Bugles 20. It'll go until midnight tonight. Let me just double check. Yep, it is good to go. So you can't stack coupons, friends, but it's a great discount code to use today and put all of those wonderful new bugles in your cart. So let me go ahead and get my camera over here. Let me do this. Let's see. Let me add that to the stage right there, and let me highlight it. Okay, you can see the mess that I have on my table, but let's make some sense of it. You can see, first, I'm actually going to put this one aside for just a second. Let me give you a quick peek at my loomed piece there. I think you're going to love it. But let's take a look at some of the new ones. I've got more new ones on my board. You know, Janice loves bugle beads, and you know, I like them too, to be completely honest. I like the bugle beads. I like working with them. And I always don't, what do I want to say? I always don't have them in my orbit, I guess, right? So we added some bugles. And I said to myself, you know what? I really have to make something with them. If you remember, I made that Lalique bracelet a while back. And it was a really fun one to play around with. I had a lot of fun with it. Oh, hang on. Let me see if I can bear with me here. I want to zoom out. There we go. The Lalique was, I don't know, it was a while back, a few years ago, definitely pre-pandemic. And we don't have that closure any longer. The closure that I used was kind of a fold over. But a lot of you love doing the loomed bracelets, and we just haven't done one in a while. We've got a ton of info over on the Tricks to Looming page, all of those. So hopefully today this will give you some more tips and tricks and techniques to work with bugles and looming. So 2017. Thank you, Mel. Thank goodness for all of you who know, who remember the dates and the years that I do things. Appreciate it. I've done so many projects. It's like I can't even remember what day. Okay, so Erica, yes, agreed. You love them when you see them, but you're not sure about working with them. They always snag something. Well, the cool thing about these bugles is these are the Japanese, the Miyuki bugles. So they are as smooth and easy to work with. The ends are nice and clean. So this really is the best of the best. And I'm going to show you in my project the threads that I used. And I think that will also help a little bit with the snag factor. Okay, right? So let's take a look at some of these new ones. I've got some other beads mixed up in here, so let me take those out. We carry two sizes of the bugles. We carry the bugle in the size 2, and we carry the bugles in the size 1. So 2 different sizes. Let me show you. I'm going to divide these into groups, and then I'm going to show you the length. Okay. And thank you, Janice, for that comment. That's exactly right. Sometimes though the check bugle beads actually are pretty good, but those are the ones that we find might have a tendency to snag a little bit more. We're going to add some more bugles to our bugle line. I know Emily loves to use them in brick stitch earrings. They look great in brick stitch. My buddy, Donna Chandler, I spoke with Donna yesterday. It was her birthday. Happy birthday once again, Donna. And we were chatting about bugle beads and stuff. And so she actually shared an idea with me that I'm going to play around with. I'll do it on a future date, but something else with these bugles, thankfully, because I was a little stumped, to be honest. But I pulled it together, and now the creative juices are flowing. So size-wise, thanks, Janice, for posting them. I don't even need to measure them. The bugle number 1, this is a 3 millimeter in length, and this is the 6 millimeter. So it's twice the size, which is very convenient because 2 of the bugle number 1s make up 1 of the bugle number 2, if that makes sense. So I've got some other new colors. Let me get these in the mix because I've been using them. I used the bugle number 1 for my project today, just because I wanted them a little bit smaller to work with, because I wanted this loomed piece to be a little bit smaller. And yeah, they come in a lot of variety. We've got matte, we've got shiny, and they are pretty consistent in the tube. I know that someone asked this about the question. Yes, the Miyuki, Terry, you did. Do you also find that the Miyuki bugles are more consistently sized in a tube? I sure do. I'm going to show you when we have these out and I'm looming with them. Just like any seed bead, Japanese seed bead, you know how Emily kind of takes a looks at her seed beads to make sure that they're all about the same size and shape. You need to do the same thing with these bugles as well, but the size is extremely consistent. Let's see, who do I have up here? There we go. Okay, so yeah, we do have a bunch of great colors, 2 sizes, and then they go with the current bugles that we have on the site. You could also use Fireline. Today I'm actually going to use KO and regular Ceylon, and I'm going to show you why I do that. Ceylon is great for this project, and I'm probably going to use Ceylon in my project, in my next bugle bead project that is going to come up. So let me switch this out, okay, right here. Let me put this down. You can see my old wood. Well, it's moving around. This is my table that I used to do a lot of metalsmithing on. Can you see all of the burn marks and stuff on this table? But I like it. It has a little bit of character, so that's okay, right? I've got my little dishes with my bugles. I'm going to put these aside. Let's talk about the size, this piece that I've got going on here so you can see it. We'll talk about the threads, and then we'll get to it. So this, I used our deep dish to do my looming with, okay? And the deep dish is just a jewelry tray. Can you see that here, right there? Let me get a little bit more of this stuff out of the way. I still have the detritus of the Great Bead Extravaganza and an empty soda can. What else could I possibly have here? Great job cleaning up, Richburg. Great job. The KO, there's a question, Kristen, you have that question about what is KO. Let me show you. The KO thread is right here. This is my skinny thread that I'm using for the weft, or the thread that goes from the right to the left on this project. The warp, I used regular Ceylon. Okay, and what I wanted, let me see if I can get a little tighter in here so you can see this. I really wanted the warp to show on this. So if you look at the Lalique bracelet that I did a while back, and some of those other like tapestry bracelets and stuff that I've done, I use this Ceylon because I want this warp to be a little thicker. I want this warp just to show. I really want like the textile portion of this to show, right? So that's why I use that. And then I wanted the weft, or the threads that go from the right to the left, hence it rhymes with weft. That's how I remember. I wanted it to be skinny thread. So I used this KO in the dark gray, I guess is what I used. But dark gray, light gray, whatever color you have, it'll, and whatever Ceylon you have here, the regular, it'll just blend in along the sides. So use whatever it is you like. Okay, so that's that. So let me zoom out a little bit so you can see this whole thing. And I want to show you kind of how it goes together here, like so. So here's my piece that I've done, and I'm going to warp a piece and show you. I actually think I'm going to switch to my empty tray. Let's talk about how I'm going to warp this tray for the loom, and then we'll get back to this one, okay? Because let's do it in order. Let me clear this tray off of all these bugle beads that I've got here. You can use a regular loom, like just like our ojibwa loom, or any kind of loom that you have. But when I came back to Beadshop in 2016, many things had evolved, including using so many techniques, is what I want to say, including using this loom, or this deep dish tray, as a loom. And I am over the moon about it. I love it. Now, I do love the regular ojibwa loom that I've used many times. You can see here I've got this loomed piece on here, right? I love it. I love it for bigger things. It just has a great feel. I love using a loom. But for this one, for these bracelets, I really feel like this is the right thing. You could, Maggie, definitely use the jewel loom by our buddy Juliana. She has all kinds of great looms over on her jewel loom site. We carry the regular jewel loom, so that will work as well. So if you already have a loom, by all means, try it out with this. I think you'll be happy with the results. But I used this deep dish, and if you haven't used it before, this might be the way to do it. Okay. Let's see. So that's here. Oh, thank you, Donna. Donna and I chatted a little bit about my bracelet yesterday when we were chatting. I think I pulled it together, thankfully, and I told everyone that you gave me a great idea for these bugles that's gonna be coming up. So let me put myself on the screen as well, and I'm going to show you, because I want you to see this kind of both at the same time while I'm doing this. Here's my regular deep dish that has the velvet pad in it. Okay, so I'm going to take my regular Ceylon that's like this, and I'm going to wrap it. So what I did for this, let's count. I've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 warps. Can you see that? And I have 5 rows of beads. Okay, I am going to do my 5 rows, 6 warps, but I want 2 more rows because I wanted the sample that I do with you. I'm going to show you adding the 11-aught into this. So if this is 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I need a 7th and an 8th row. So I'm going to need 9 warps. You always need 1 more warp than the number of chambers or the number of rows of beads that you have. So I'm going to wrap this around the Ceylon around 9 times. Now you can wrap it the long way. I did it here on the short way because I knew I was just doing a bracelet. I'm going to show you also, this is really easy to kind of move around to access some more real estate up here. But if you're going to do like a hat band or something like that, you might want to go the long way like this. Okay. So here's this, my regular Ceylon. You could also use fine, which I've used, but I kind of like this regular, especially for a bracelet. It's going to really stand up to what I want it to do. So I'm going to have my end, and I'm going to kind of hold it on the back of my board, kind of like this, right? I want kind of a nice long tail here. And now I'm just going to wrap, and I don't need to have it, I don't need to have it perfectly lined up. Okay, I'm just going to wrap it 9 times. So let me do that. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Can you see how I'm keeping the tension pretty tight? 8. Let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and around once more 9. Janice, that's also a really good tip. Janice is the queen of using this deep dish as a loom. That's really a great tip. If we want to do more than one bracelet, wrap it around long ways and move the empty threads to the front. You just can't cut the first bracelet off until you're done with the second. I'm going to show you how to move this around too, but Janice, that's an excellent suggestion as well. So let me show you. I'm going to put this down in front of the camera. Let me solo that. Let me find my thread snip, and let me go ahead and cut away this extra. Sorry, I still don't have my new camera mount. It should get here today, so the angle of the camera might be a little weird, so apologies for that, but it'll be fixed soon. I'm just going to bring my Ceylon here. I'm going to come in, I'm going to tie an overhand, or I'm sorry, a square knot, right over left, left over right, and down, and I want this to be pretty tight. Okay, let me scoot it around, and you can see when I plink it, it's tight, but it's not too ridiculous. So let me zoom out, and let's place these in their right positions. Let me get rid of this one for a second. We'll come back to this. Yeah, I'm really in love with this loomed piece, I'll tell you, honest truth. So here's this. There we go. Now this one is the one that I wrapped around the ending one, so you can also use your awl to kind of help you with this. My nail polish does kind of match the Ceylon. It does. I love this kind of steel blue gray color, right? So there's one like that, and I'm gonna just turn it over, and I'm gonna make sure that this is still tight, and it is. Okay. Now, I know this is going to be my channel for the 11s here. And then this one's going to be the bugle. Am I still in a shot here? So I'm going to kind of arrange them in the width of the beads. I could use the longer beads too. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll use the, I was using the size 1s. Maybe I'll pop it up to the longer ones, the size 2s. Or I could certainly mix them up. Maybe if I have a 2 in the middle and one's on the side. But you can move these over. See how I'm using that all to kind of move these warps. You can use anything for your warp thread, but again, like I was saying, the Ceylon really is nice to use when you really want your threads to show. Okay, like this. I'm going to flip this over one more time and tighten it one more time. See, I can get it a little tighter like that. And now I'm going to tie one more knot like so. Okay. So here we are. So, and you can kind of feel, can you see that? How it kind of is a little bouncy there. I hope you can see the contrast of this pretty well. Let me see if there's any questions so far. Great. Oh, good questions. Let me look. I think it should be 8 rather than 9 since I'm using 7 beads. I think I want to use, let me see, an 11 and 11 go there. And this will be a short bugle and a short bugle, a short bugle and a short bugle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I've got 8 channels. Right. I don't need it to be an odd number. So I'm going to do this with the 11s. And then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got 6 channels left. So I think what I'll do is I'll put 2 large bugles in the center, 2 short bugles, and 1 11 odd. I think that's what I'll do. Okay. So, but thanks for pointing that out. Sometimes I can't count and demo all at the same time. Good question over here, Terry. Also, do I ever double up the cord on the edges of the warp for added stability? I don't. I'll show you when I start to do. Oh, double up the edges of the warp. Sorry, I was thinking about the weft. You're saying this strand here and this strand here. Do I double? Correct? I could if it's a thinner thread, but this regular Ceylon is one of the reasons why I use that, because it really gives us a lot of stability with this heavier cord. Now, what I've also done in the past is this cord here and this cord here, I've used a different cord, like a 0.5 millimeter leather, or you could use a Chinese knotting cord. I don't think there's any wrong answer there. Here's a little piece of 0.5 that's just kind of sitting here. You can see that 0.5 leather is about the same diameter, the same width on that. Okay, so you choose what you like. This whole thing could be leather, really. With the bugles, it might be a little bit heavy, but you can certainly experiment. Okay, so let me see here. There's any other questions right here? Okay, so let me hide this comment and let's take a look. So I'm going to start here in the center and I'm going to work my way down. On this piece here, I didn't do that, but that's one of the things that I learned from Janice as well, is that if you're not really sure what you're going to do here with this piece, start in the middle, and then you can work up and you can work down, especially if your bracelet has something to say in the center, right? This is just little tiles that I've stacked up. That's why I called it Avenue. It's kind of like little short little streets or whatever, like this, little lanes. Okay. So the title of this project, it's called Avenue. So I've just made my little segments and I figured that these segments, they're all about 10 rows across. Some might be 12. This one might be 12, but they're about 10 rows for this motif. So I figured I'd be able to size it okay. But let's say that I wanted something to land smack dab in the middle here. I'd start in the center and then I'd work my way out and I'd keep measuring and measuring as I go. Okay, so let me show you how I'd start everything on this. Okay, and then we'll get back to this one. I really love like the graphic lines and stuff of this. I'm really digging it, if I do say so myself. So let me get some 11-aughts. I haven't done anything with 11s with this yet. So, and in the Lalique bracelet that I did, I did short bugles, I think, on the outside, and the size 2 bugles on the inside. So it acted kind of like an edge. So I'm going to use this 11-aught. This is the 11-131. You can use anything. I really want you to choose your own adventure on this bracelet, 100%. So you can kind of play along, you know, figure out what it is that you like. Since that one's a matte, I'm going to get a shiny. This is our Bugle 1 453. I'm just going to line these up and see how they look. Okay. Yeah, it's meant to be a little Art Deco. Yes, thank you picking up on that, Leslie, for sure. Lenny, I think that just one tube will be plenty. What I did here, you can see I've used a whole bunch, and you can see all these beads here. I still have, like, the tubes are still really full, and I still have things in dishes. So one tube of each color, especially if you're mixing colors, should be plenty. See, there's that white that I used. Here's that rose. Let me get those out. Here's that shiny AB. There's the matte. I think it's the black, matte black AB. I think that's what this is. I think that's everything. Oh, and this one, the hematite I used too. And that, and I'll get to those in a second, but let me put those over so you know. So there's that green one. The green, I think I'm going to do the big ones in the middle. So I'll take, and I'm going to do 2 rows of each. So there's that one. I just need a short one. And maybe I will use, how about that gold? That really looks Art Deco, right? And Janice is saying here, Janice is saying here, the recipe calls for 1 tube of several colors. I'd say the bracelet uses 5 grams of each color. And Janice, these come in 5-gram tubes. Am I correct? I'll just let you confirm that for me. Okay. So, hey, AR, you sure can. This will, of course, like all of our live broadcasts, they're archived on our YouTube channel as well as on our website. And after the broadcast is over, Ellen comes in, timestamps everything, so you can go directly to the part in the video that you want to go to, right? You won't have to watch everything. Oh, and thanks, JP. Janet's confirmed they're actually in 10-gram tubes, so you'll have plenty to work with. Okay. Okay. So let me get my KO. Where did the KO go? Here it is. And I'm going to use size 12 beading needles. Where did my beading needles go? They were sitting here. Here's one. This is the size 12 right here. Okay. And I'm not waxing my thread today. Okay. Oh, Janice made a clarification. They're actually 8.2 to 8.5 gram tubes. The idea is, though, you're going to have plenty in here. Like, even for this, if I'm just using these 3 beads, this will be plenty enough to make a bracelet with these. Okay. So I'm not going to wax my thread today because the holes in these bugles, they're not tiny, but they're not big. And I don't want any extra, I don't want anything that's going to take up any extra space in the bead. Does that make sense? Right? So I'm not going to wax. You can if you want, but I'm not going to wax it today. I'm going to needle the thread. Or do I have my teaching voice? I've got my teaching voice on, right? My hello, I'm demonstrating voice, right? So this, I've threaded my needle with the dark gray KO. And I know you're asking me, Kate, how much are you using? This is probably about a wingspan. So from the tip of my nose to the tip of my finger with my left hand stretched out. And I'm going to show you how to move thread, or how to add thread rather, so you won't stress on making your piece of thread a little bit shorter. Adding thread in a loomed project could not get easier. Okay. Let me get a little dish here. So we're going to use these 3 colors. Let me open this up. And let me do this. Okay. Let me open this up. Sorry, let me get my hands out the thing because that's kind of way too close. So here's my 11s. I guess I don't need a dish. I'm just going to make a little pile. And I'm going to put these in order. You know, when we did that fountain earring, when we played with those discs from Danielle Wicks, which are back in stock, BT Dub, she put hers, and Emily does this too. I guess I don't always do this. I don't know why. It was such a revelation to me. But she puts how she's going to use them. She puts them in order. Whoops, these are the short ones. I want the long ones. I don't want the size 1s. I want the size 2s. Let me see if we have that in this color. Yeah, we do. Right here. I want the longer ones. Here they are. Okay. So these are my colors. And this is going to be my, let me just count it up and see where we're going to put, how we're going to put them. And I can also put them on my needle too. Doubled, these would be 2, 4, I'd do 6 beads. I think I've got 8 channels. So I think what I'm going to do is I am going to put 2 rows of the, or 4 rows, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 4 rows of that. All right, let's just see how it looks. All right, let's stop talking and start doing. So the first one that you do is we're going to pick these up in order. So there's an 11, 1 short bugle, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1 of the gold and 1 of the 11-aught. So let's take a look at this and see if we like it. Now, this gives me a nice solid band of color here in the center. It's also going to give me a nice wide cuff if I like that kind of a look. If I had an odd number, and I could just leave this out and just loom these. I could run something down the center here of this one, you know, that's a different color. Maybe what I'll do if I pull it in, maybe I want to break this up. Maybe I'll put the 11/0 and 11/0. And this is just a tester, so we'll see. I'm going to get rid of those because I kind of like making these a little skinnier so I can use them in my bracelet stacks like this, right? So this. There we go. This is a little less wide. I think I like it. Okay, so I'm going to slide this underneath. This first one, like anything, is always kind of a pain. So I'm going to slide this up. I'm going to leave a pretty good tail down here because I'm going to come in and weave that tail in later. I'm going to start on this end. And as I put each bead in the little, in its little lane, I'm going to come back and stitch it in. And I want to make sure that I don't stitch the thread, that I only stitch the bead through the bead, right? And I do that by pushing it up like that, right? Pushing the needle up towards the top of the bead. There we go. So see, my little section of beads gets sandwiched between my two threads that are running from the left to the right and back over the top from the right to the left. Let's see if I can get these in. Now the beading needle is what I like to use for this because it's longer. A sharps is too small, and we carry the sharps in a size 10, so the needle would be too big. Okay. Take a look. Oh, good, AR. I'm so glad you like it. Enjoy your paintings, but I'm so glad you like this. Let me go ahead and zoom in a little bit so you can see this before I pull it through. Can you see that there? Like so. Okay. So next, what we're going to do, let me move this stuff out of the way. I'm going to pull my thread through. Let me zoom back just a little bit. It's a little close, as Emily likes to say, that's a little close talking. There we go. That's a little bit better. And I like the breaking up of the beads here. Okay. And yeah, you know, Emma, once you have your pattern established, it's pretty simple. So, but yeah, go with simple, go with whatever pattern speaks to you, right? So just to reiterate, an 11, a bugle size 1, a bugle size 2, an 11 and 11, bugle size 3, bugle size 1, and an 11. Let me make sure you can see I've caught all of the warp threads in between my weft threads, one going under, one going over. And now I'm going to slide this through. Now, this is where you pull everything in tight so that the warps kind of distribute themselves correctly. Okay, and this one goes underneath there, like that. Okay, so can you see how we've tightened it up? Your center strands come a little bit closer, so I'm moving them right here. So they're about the same width as the bead. That's about right there. That's about right. And this is about right there. Okay, like that. All right. So now, if you want, you can tie a little knot on the end here just to hold it. But I don't do that. What I do is I come in. Here's my bottom thread. I'm going to actually go through the bottom like this. And I'm going to swing this needle back through all of these to reinforce this first row. Now, when I work this pattern, I can weave up from this design this way and down from this design this way. Okay? So, because I'm in the middle here. So I've got a nice end here that I can work with that, to do that with. So when I'm ready to go down, I can start with this, then I can add my thread in. I'm just going to go around this, because it's hard to put the thread underneath the channel like this once your row is already established. So I've gone around the top. I'm going to just go back through the top, but I need to go around this end warp thread so that my thread is anchored, if that makes sense. Okay, there we go. Okay, and I'm making sure I'm not catching any of my warps or anything like that. All right, so I'm on to my next row. So I'm going to keep the 11s where I wanted them to be. Get that in nice and tight. There it is. That's a good, nice, tight base row. So I'm gonna leave this pattern. So let's continue on. So 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1, then 2 in the center, 1, 1, and 1. Go underneath your warp, slide my finger underneath, and kind of roll them into place. See how I do that? And since these warp threads, since I've used the regular seal-on and the warp threads are a little thicker, you can kind of feel those beads kind of pop into place there. Okay, so there's that. And then I just stitch. I kind of tip my needle up, see, so I can see that the tip is coming through that. Then I'll pull it back, send it through that bugle, send it through those 2 11s. I'm a little out of my focal range, so bear with me here a second. Through that bugle, through the short bugle, and through that last one. Then I kind of check it before I pull everything all the way through. That looks right. And now I'll slide it through, okay? And make sure that your warp thread on the right-hand side, or your weft thread that's going around the warp, is nice and tight. There's no little spare thread right there. Okay, there's 2. Let me zoom out a little bit and let me do a couple more. Question here. That the bugle's cutting through the warp threads. That's one of the reasons I use this heavier seal-on. And these are also the Miyuki bugles, and they're not real sharp. So you can see that Janice answered that there. Okay, so I don't have any issues with all of the loom pieces I've done with bugles. I really, with these Miyuki bugles, I don't. This design would definitely work on a long wrap bracelet. I'll show you in my other sample how we would deal with that, okay, if we're going to use it in a wrap. A 15 on each end, I think, Donna, would look great, especially if you're using smaller thread. A 15 would be nice on the end here, or a delica would also be nice. Just depends on what you like. So let me do one more row, then we'll set this aside and we'll go to my other piece, okay? One of these, and 2 of these. 1, 2. One of these, and 1 of these. Now, I'm going to keep this pattern going throughout, but we talked about the equivalency, and this is a great question, Dawn, right there. Perfect. I've established the pattern and the size of the channels. Am I committed to this size? Well, I'm committed. I am. I would say that I'm committed. You could kind of figure out and move like your threads over and stuff like that, but I'm not going to do that. What you can do though is remember that 2 of these shorter bugles make 1 of these longer bugles. So I could put 2 in this channel of a different color. I could change up this 11-aught, right? But these are the channels here that I could play around with, these larger ones. These smaller ones, like this one here, I could probably get 2 or 3 11-aughts in there. So as long as your beads equal the length of the channel, you would be fine. Okay, if that makes sense. And I think that's what Janice answered just now in the chat. So I kind of come here on this side, on the side where I'm going to start threading my weft thread back through. And I just start pushing the beads up through those channels. There's that one. There's this one. Slide this one in. Slide that one in. That one. Did you hear that little click? The bead just clicked right into place there. Okay, before I pull the needle all the way through, I check and slide it through. Let's see, our Emily looks like she's on. Emily, this would make a cute beaded bag, a wide piece that folds over. It really would, like I would make it like long like this, fold this up here, fold that down here. Maybe I'll do that with this. But look at how nice, I really like this pattern. Let me zoom in just a hair here, and you can see that pattern. Okay, so bugles have a lot of design potential, especially when you mix it with other size beads. I think that these 11-aughts are really perfect with that. Let me flash the coupon code for today real quick while I'm changing things up. You can enter Bugles 20 at checkout, and you'll save 20% on all of our new bugles that we've got here and our 11-aughts. Now the bugles that I used, all of the beads that I used here, let me pull these out so you can screenshot it. Let me zoom back a little bit so we can see this. How am I doing on time? I'm doing all right. There's that. There's this one, and there's this one. That's what I used. And I used, I don't know, maybe the steel, one of the blues in the regular Ceylon, but you choose whatever you like. Okay, so let me get this out of the way, and let's put this other one in. Okay, because I can't put it off any longer. I have to finish this off. All right. So let's measure this. Let me zoom out. Straighten this up. So here is the piece. Yeah, maybe I'll leave the beaded bag to you. I'll just finish that one up. Beaded bags are so in your. I'll see how I'm feeling. But we should definitely do a little bag, right? I think it would be good. Okay, so here's this. All right. I used, and this is on the list. I need to add some to my product list. These were all in it. Let me turn these so you can screenshot them. On the Avenue project, because this was a little fluid, what I was using. These were all the matte ones here. And then this was the hematite and the black AB all in size 1. That's the 455. This is the 451, 401 FR, 2034, 2005 FR, and this is that beautiful ivory, the 2021. Okay. So let me move these aside so you can kind of see it, and I'll measure it. My wrist is 6.5 inches, and I'm going to do some edging and stuff on this. So you can see here, I've done all the just bugles on this, and I love the way it looks, right? I'm glad you folks like it. I called it Avenue. It's like just little grids, like little grids on a map, or if like you're looking down from a plane or something. That's kind of what I was thinking. So this is like 5 inches or so here. I'm going to make one final grid, and then we're going to finish it off. Okay. So let me just get a pattern in my head. Maybe I'll finish it like I started it with this, but I don't know. I kind of want them all to be different. Maybe I haven't used this blue. I've used it here and here, so maybe I'll finish up with it. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 across. So maybe I will do one of these. Maybe I'll do a chunk of it like this. Maybe I'll do this, the white. I don't know. I really just made these up on the fly. I tried not to belabor it too much when I was doing it and just let it kind of do its thing. And I'm kind of happy. There we go. That's what I'll use there. Okay. So I'm going to go underneath here. Get my finger underneath there. Slide them in. And this needs to be, each of these little sections are about 10 to 12 rows. So you can certainly change this up when you get to like the 5th or 6th row. So there's that one. And then I just let it evolve. I see how it looks. And if I like the way that this little square looks, I let it go. If I don't like it, I change it up, right? It's only a few rows, so I kind of like the way that they all line up and look together. I was going to do all the same pattern throughout, but I got bored really fast with this. Let me get a little tighter in here. It does look like quilt blocks, Ma. It's very quilty, right? It is very quilty, actually. This would make a nice little thimble holder too, a little thimble pouch. It sure would. There it is. And like this last one, make sure that they're all sitting in there nicely. The color bands, I like this color banding of this a lot. So there's this one. I'll bring these over here. This one, you can see my beads are not very laid out and they're all kind of all over the place, but hopefully I won't make a mistake. But if I do, I do. I'm not going to worry about it too much. So here's 3 rows. Push it under with that index finger, roll them into place, and close it up. And see how I'm just weaving it back through, tipping that needle up so it makes the jump over the seam, and then goes through the whole of the bugle bead. Again, size 12 seed bead needle. Light blue, black AB, ivory, and then reverse it. up in there. Come on. Yeah, good. Tighten it. That's the only thing about using this regular seam is that it, you know, if these warps were a thinner thread like the KO or even a smaller seam, I wouldn't have to push them up so high to clear it to get my needle back through, right? And yes, Emily's saying the color banding definitely equals stripes, which I love. So here's this one. Here's 4. So I think I'm going to reverse this out, and I'm going to put the white on the outside. I'll put the black diamond, and then or not black diamond, the black AB. Let me just mix it up. So that was 4. 4 rows. I'll do 4 more rows of this one. Just so like they're little striped bands. There we go, in there. And don't plan this out too much. I mean, you could certainly draw out your loomed pattern if you want, but I think that the spontaneity of this pattern is kind of fun. Just do what you feel like doing next. Okay, this one. My thread is getting a little short, so I'm going to go as long as I can. Get those in there. And that one. Don't nip the thread with that needle. And then that one, this blue, this one, and this one. I'm going to go ahead because my thread is short and it's just too short. I'm going to have to add some thread even though I'm almost done with this. And I want to show you how I do that anyway. Okay, so let's make this our last row over and I'll show you how I add thread. Okay, so here's this. All right. Now I put my needle aside and I'm going to get a second needle. Okay. And then, oh, and this is really great, great advice, JP. Here, while I get my thread, everybody can read over that. If you have trouble making patterns, think of it as short vignettes. Make a pattern for just an inch or 2, and the next one could be the opposite or a solid. For sure, that's what I did. I just thought about like 10 rows, and then I switched it up, right? So here, I'm going to get another wingspan. I'm going to get my size 12 needle, and again, no wax on this one. I didn't wax any of this today because I didn't want the extra gumminess of the wax. Sometimes that's helpful, but on these bugles, I opted against it. But if you like the waxing portion, you do it. I'm trying to thread my needle here off camera to get it in my vision. I'm needling my thread, getting it in my line of vision. There we go. Okay. So now it is very TV test pattern. Michelle, totally test pattern. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come like in the center here, 1 row down like this. And I'm just going to go through that bugle like that. I'm going to go through those 2 beads. Okay. And I'm going to go kind of close with my thread. I put in way long with the thread. And I'm going to make a little box and go back down. like that. Now I'm going to go all the way through this row like this. Let me pull this down a little bit here. This thread is actually way too long. I don't want to cut it off, but I'm going to cut a little bit. There we go. And now I'm going to go all the way back through to where my needle is coming out on this row. Okay. There we go. All right. Just like that. Now I'm going to put this one aside. I'm picking up my old needle, trying not to have it unthread. I'm going to come in, I'm going to clip the tail of that new thread off. And on this side, I'm going to weave it back like that. Just on this half. It doesn't need to go all the way through. Back like that. And then one more down. Right here. If it wants to come out that bead hole, that's fine with me. There we go. Needle came off, which is fine because I'm going to clip this away. Okay, now I've got my new thread. All right, everybody take a nice breath. You could definitely do this as a QR code. I thought about doing a beaded QR code. 100% I did. That was really fun. Yeah. Okay, let me do this last one. Let me zoom in a little bit tighter. Let me put the code, the Bugle's code up while I do this last one. Let me see if I can zoom in just a little bit for you here. There we go. Can I get this a little further up? Bear with me here just a second while I get that in there. There we go. Okay. So I need one more row like that. So this is so much better. It's like I can breathe now that I have enough thread. You know, when your thread gets really short, my grip gets tighter and my shoulders inch up and all of those things, right? So when you have a nice large amount of thread, things flow a little bit better. So here's 4 of these, right? 4 rows of this pattern. Slide them up there, pop in. Pop in, please. There we go. Now let's just stitch this in, that one, that one, that one. Come on. That one, there it goes, and that one. Now I think the way I'm going to finish it, because Emily said stripes, and always listen to Emily, I'm going to go ahead and put this row in. So I'm going to finish it like I began it. And I do that a lot with my patterning. I just kind of reverse it or whatever, you know. So it's pretty easy. You just have to make up part of it. And then the last part just falls into place. Is this right? Yes, I think it is. So I just need 4 more rows, and then we're going to measure and see what I got. Oh, see how I pass this through there? You want to be very careful. It needs to go under. Tangled in my bugle. There we go. Now, if I needed more room here, if I were coming up on the edge of this deep dish tray, I'll have enough room here, I think. But if I needed to, I could just simply pull this around a little bit so that the threads, there it goes. See how the threads, it kind of circulate, you know, it kind of makes a circle and comes down around the box, the edge of the tray. One of those. On the home stretch, it always seems like this is going to take the longest. But just hang in there with me. We've got to figure out how to close this. And I think I have an idea, but we'll see what happens. How am I doing on time? We're going to go over just a bit, but I want to show you how to close it. So that's what we're going to do. I wanted to give you lots of ideas with these bugles because, you know, it's kind of a fun, not a lot of different beads. And especially even with a limited color palette like I'm using, you can get a lot of different patterns. And notice I am using some beads that have a pretty high contrast, like especially this ivory. Everyone loves this ivory seed bead. No, it just is really a good one. Or this bugle, or in a seed bead or in a delica or whatever. I think it's really cool. And I like the variation of the matte and the shiny. I've got some of both in here. But you decide what works for you. Again, this size that I'm using the size 1. But you could also, if you wanted this to be a little bit wider, you could use the bugles in the size 2, the 6mm. Okay, one last row. That looks pretty good, right? That's a pretty good pattern. Let me get a little tighter in there so you can see it a little tighter. And then we'll do that final row. Let's see if there's any comments that I need to address at this moment. Yeah, hopefully this is here. Yeah, Curtis, I will show you the loom project and pattern on the traditional loom. That's the one I did. I mean, it's already been like a year that I've done it. I have to finish it, but I'll show you. I made it after Emily's loomed project. Emily's, that loomed necklace that she made, it is just a gorgeous piece. You could also use this kind of a loom, you know, instead of a ready-made loom. You could use something like this for that. But Emily's project that she made, it was so inspirational. And those of you who were at the retreat when she was doing this, saw her work on it. It was really, really lovely. What was that matte one? There it is. Thank you, Leslie. You always cheer me on. Appreciate it. Let's put this one down. Put this in, roll it in. I'm using my index finger here. Roll it in, push them up, and then get this going. And then we'll measure and then we'll figure out what we're going to do here. Okay, so that's my last motif. Okay, and I'm actually going to move this back down this way because I want to see the whole thing. Let me zoom out. Okay, so here it is. Let's see. Anne Lamott says making an inch square of your thumb and forefinger and hold it in. Oh, the writer Anne Lamott. I was all Anne Lamott beads, but that's really cool. Make an inch square of your thumb and forefinger and hold it in front of your eyes and start writing about just what you see there. That's really cool. That's really cool. For a minute, I was all, is she beading? That's awesome. That's awesome. So here's this piece. Okay, so let me measure and see what we've got here. I also, let me clear the pathway here because visually it's a little messy and I think I need a little more clean. I'm going to use that button. We added these buttons a few weeks ago, and now it's like the only button I use practically. I really like them. So I'm going to use this today, button wise. I know I'm just going to mix these up. I'm not afraid. Just mix them. I can sort them later, but we all know I'm not going to sort them later. Right? So let me do this and this. There we go. Okay, here we are. Right there. Looks better. Okay, let me measure. This is, yeah, about 6 inches. I want it to be about 7 1/4, and so I'm going to need that closure at the end. So I think that's good. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to weave this off, weave this back like this. Weave it back. One more. Weave it back. Come on, give me 2 beads. Just 2. I just need 2. There we go. Like that. I'll clip it. Let me go down to this end. The needles come off long ago, so let me string this in. Needle that thread. There we go. I kind of like going to the center of this row, not right to the end. I'll go up a row, over 2, like that. This way and this way. Okay, no glue needed, just weaving those ends back in. Come on, come out. There we are. Okay, now I'll cut this away. Okay, time for a screenshot, everybody, if you want to screenshot it, because I am going to cut this away. I did get a new, well, I put a battery in the clock. Michelle, I guess you can hear it ticking. That my clock hadn't been working because the battery wasn't working. So I changed the battery. Okay. Yeah, it's Gina, it's really true. I could sort it later, but yeah, we all know. I'm not going to sort it later. Okay, so let me flip this over. And I'm going to cut these away. I know, look what I just did. Let me get this, let me turn it back over. There's all kinds of beads now that fell out of my tray. And let's see what we have. Okay, there it is. All right. So now we need to figure out how the heck we're going to finish this off. Okay. There are closures. We've got these great little slider closures that would look terrific on this. It's our slider. It's our, let me see if I can get the photo of this. And this would work really nicely. I'm grabbing it from it's under thread findings, under components and findings. They're called the slide tubes. And I think maybe the medium, we'd have to check the size. I would get the slide tubes. Let me put it up. I just screenshot it. I would obviously, if you're going to use the slide tube, I'd get the slide tube before you measure it. You can get the measurements. I'm sure we've got it on the product copy. And make sure that the width of your piece is the same width as that slide tube. Here's a slide tube. Can you see it right there? And that slide tube, can you see how on that edge there's that little flange that's like open? There's a little opening there, a little space in the tube that you slide the first couple of rows. So what I would do is I would end with a row of 8/0 here and a row of 8/0 here, and then that slide tube, you could glue it down or, have a couple of rows, glue those beads in, glue it down nicely, and slide that slide tube over it. A lot of these I show how to use in our Tricks to Looming. But I want to do this a little bit differently. I want this to have a little more of a organic look to it. Okay. So I got my Ultra Suede, and I also have, this is something I've kind of wanted to try. So just bear with me. Oh, I'm glad it's motivating. Good. I'm really glad it's motivating for you. Let me just turn this here real quick. I'm going to clamp this in place. Let me go a little bit more like that. I'm going to clamp it. I want to clamp this one, this center one right here. This has kind of been floating around in my brain, and I just didn't have time to quite bring it to fruition. Give me another clamp, my kingdom for another clamp. There it is. Okay, I'm glad this is motivating. So see how I've got these warps, and these are regular Ceylon. Can you see that? So what do I do with regular Ceylon? I macrame it, right? So, and I could also use, I could definitely use the new symbols, right? I could definitely use new symbols on this. I could find something to weave in. I haven't even thought about that yet, right? But I want this to have kind of an organic look. So I'm going to move that aside, and I'm just going to macrame down here. Okay. And we're just going to see what happens. I'm going to kind of push that down so it's a little tighter next to that, right? And I'm going to keep going. Just hang out. Yeah, the cord is beautiful, right? And I'll show the entire bracelet again so you can make a screenshot. This will also be on the project page, the Avenue project page. We'll have a full color of it. Okay. So let me get the other one macrameed. Yeah, okay. This is starting to take shape in my brain. On these, we could make 2 loops, right? And 2 clasps on the other side. I want to use just our 1 button. So I want to try and fashion maybe a buttonhole. I'm not sure. I need to kind of see how these all shake out. See how big the space is in here. Like that. Sounds like something's on my door right there. Let me put this back in the center. You can take that screenshot. Bear with me here just a second. Let me put it. Let me center. Right? I like that end. I like the organic feel of that end. So take that screenshot there. Sorry, I think we've got like these super loud birds that kind of peck on the fence. And for some reason, I always think it's somebody that's knocking, but it's not. Okay. All right. Let me get that back in. Let me get this back in. And let me make this the same length as the other one. Now, I should be measuring my button, but I'm not. I'm just going with my gut on this. So just bear with me. Are you as intrigued as I am as how this is going to finish? Yeah, me too. But I think my brain is 2 steps ahead of my hands. I'm hopeful. So let's make this even. Like that. Okay. Now I'm going to bring these two together. And I'm going to bring these down too. Like that. Do I have another idea? So see what this looks like. Now I'm going to bring these together. Like that. We shall see. We shall see, Leslie. We shall see what happens. Okay. So here's that, like a little button. I could fringe this or something, but let's take a look at this edge. Where's my button? I had the button here a second ago. Here it is. It's buried under a bunch of beads. All right. So I need to put this around my wrist, and I need to see what I have here. So I need to get my button somehow like underneath there. As the clock ticks. Maybe. I mean, I could put the button on that end. I could also have made this a little bit longer. Let's say that this was a little longer, and I still probably could weave some beads here, right, to make it a little bit longer. I could stitch this button like this. And bring it through so it sits on top. See what I'm saying? I like how that looks. This, unfortunately, I've already cut off, but it doesn't really matter because I need, let me measure. I still have some thread that I could use. If I did that, I need about this much more, and then I'd have to weave it back through. Let me measure. No, Leslie, that's why this pattern is here. It's about 1.5 inches, 1.25 inches. Let's see how connecting this button onto this side actually looks. Because I could make this longer also with the macrame. Let's go through. Go through. I would bring all of this back underneath. Like this. Come on. That one. I could have also gotten rid of some of these threads had I been thinking of it, so I wouldn't be getting so many threads going back through. But you know what I'm doing. Let me focus this. Let me see what Janice just told me. Janice says, I would do the same macrame and then add the button to the center threads and have a tassel tail. Yeah, agreed, JP. Yeah, the stitch-in connectors, I could do that. I could, like we've got those stitch-in connectors for the, for the seed beads, I think we've got them in the symbols too. We could do that here. And Janice, the button name and the link, we've got these, they're all in our just ins as well. We have them in the silver and we have them in the gold. We've got those. So JP will grab that link. Let me get these all connected. We're closer than you think, everybody. So thanks for sticking with me on this. Okay. There we go. Now I'm going to slide this back through. I actually don't mind all of these threads through that button shank. It fills the holes up nicely. There we go. And I'm going to come in, tighten this up. I would bring this down and I'd silk wrap all this right underneath. Let me get some thread. I could also, instead of silk wrapping, I could bring this down and macrame it too. Let me see if I can do that. And just use the threads I already have. Bear with me here. I just have to get them into position. Not this. I hope I'm not out of camera. Sorry. I'm getting it closer to my eye, my focal range. There we go. It's kind of in focus. It's called the curved oval button. Yeah, I like these a lot. Janice found these. So let me clamp this there. Okay, and I'm going to clamp it from the other side. even that button out, and I will come in and I'm going to continue my macrame. Tie a knot there. I want to pull these down. These down. I'm going to have to eventually add some glue. You know what Drea would say? Drea would say, glue this sucker. I'm going to really pull these tight so that the button sits nicely right there. I'm going to pull on each of these too. I think if I were doing this again, I would have thinned these 4 strands down underneath here, right? And cut 2 away so I was only working with 2 threads here. Okay, but I'm not, so that's okay. All right, so here that is. Let me back out just a little. Thanks, Em. That a little bit better, you guys? Put this around there. Tighten this up over here. And if I were really running out of thread, I could just add a new piece of thread and cover all of this macrame. But I'm going to see if I can do it with this little tiny piece. Also, if you do this on the long way, on the, let me get my glue. If you do this on the long way on your board, you're going to have more thread to work with. Again, I wanted this to have a more organic closure. I wanted to have it be a closure with a button. Got a little bit of glue there. So again, thanks for sticking with me for this. I want to get the button on because the other side will just be the loop portion. I would have stopped here at just when I made the loop, tied a knot, and had a tassel on the end of it. But for this button, we've got to connect it. Get that through. Who knew that this Bugle show would be so... I could also, see, I've got some longer strands. Why don't I drop these short strands and use these long ones? Where there's a will, there's a way. Come on underneath there. Okay, there we go. These are better, a little longer. I want to avoid adding thread. I want to use the threads that I have in this piece, if at all possible. There we go. Nice. Nice and tight. I need about, I don't know, 4 more. I'm going to add a little more glue here. Really get these nice and glued in. I'm going to do one final. I'm going to put a little glue where the knot is going to be tied. A little glue here. Now, what I'm going to do with these is the end of this macrame, I am probably just going to use the, sorry, I can't get this flipping lid back on my glue. Bear with me here just a second. Come on, go in. There we go. But you could, like what Janice does is she gets a needle and she puts these ends right back up through her macrame. You could do that too. Come on. There it goes. Nice. Now, glue. 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 Let it sit. Okay. Ooh. Yeah, this is almost a master class, isn't it? I didn't know what I was getting myself into. But I like the way that this looks. I hope that you do too. And I'm just taking this skill, this macrame skill that we've got, right? We're going to pretend that these have dried overnight. I'm going to clip those away. I'm going to get my my thread burner, which I haven't brought over to this side yet. Let me go. Oh no, I did. I was smart. I did bring it over. Let me thread burn these away. Thread burners are going to be back in soon. They were back ordered from our manufacturer. But make sure that you are on our list, our notification list on the product. All right. And you'll get an email as soon as they come back in. Now, let's take a look at this side. That looks pretty good. Let me zoom out. Looks pretty good if I do say so myself. So the second side, what we will do is we're going to do the same thing. We're going to macrame. We're essentially going to make this closure, but we're going to just macrame down and have a little bit of a tassel hanging out at this end. Okay. Oh, thank you, JP, to know the thread burners are going to be back in at the end of May. So when this comes around, see, it'll come through and sit just like that. Does that make sense? Okay. Just like that. It's going to come in and close. So this button will have a nice closure. It'll close and it'll have this connection on this side and on this side. Let me get this in there for you so you can see it. Okay. Let me put that coupon code. Oh, good. I am really glad that you folks like it. I'll finish the other side and then we'll get a photo of it and Claire will put it up. I'm really pleased with it. Aren't you? I really am. Let me get that coupon code back up. Oh, good. I'm so glad, Kim Crawford. Yay. Yeah, I'll bring it back on Friday. I will. And I'll tell you a little bit about what's going on Friday, too. Because I've got something special for you. Let me zoom in a little. Zoom out a little. It was an epic episode, wasn't it? Okay, there we go. Okay, great. Oh, I'm so glad. Yay! Whew. I'll tell you what's going on Friday. Janice, this is all. What's happening on Friday? Well, my friends, I'll tell you. Friday, I've got a live sale for you. I have been sitting on some check glass, sitting right over there. I've been sitting on some check glass for you. So I'm going to do a live sale for you on Friday. Really beautiful, kind of interesting, kind of odd colorways. It's very vintage looking stuff. Okay. Really super vintage. So I'm going to finish this up. What I might do, we'll see. Maybe I'll do another like mini live and do the other end. I've got so much to do today and we've got a marketing meeting and stuff today, but I will, I'll get this going for you. Lynn, don't worry, my friend. You know, you're always on our newsletter. These are things that are going to stay in stock. So please don't worry. You'll be able to grab all of your stuff. I know that Janice is going to have to place some more orders, but you're going to have some fun with the check on Friday. Okay. Here is the other piece. Curtis, you wanted to see the other piece that was on my loom. Let me just show you it here, maybe facing forward for you. Here's this one. I need to finish this one up. I know I've got so many that I have to finish for you. It's just that I go on to my next idea and I always have to move forward and not back. But this is a fun one. And it's just the Ojibwa. If you look back, it wasn't this year after Tucson. I think it was a year ago when we were playing with the loom. And I'm going to split it here and here. I've got the little pattern. I think it fell on the floor, but it's going to be like a little bag. The pattern looks like, I think the pattern just went right here. Yeah. I'm just going to do the sides. It's supposed to kind of look like a diamondback or a diamond snake kind of a pattern, but it's going to kind of look like this, those edges. So I kind of played around with it. So that'll make its reappearance. So yeah, maybe I'll pre-record it. Maybe I'll record it when I'm doing it so you can see that end. But Friday is going to be all about a live sale, but I won't leave you hanging on this because I want to get it on my wrist. I want to add it to my stack. So I'm motivated to wear it and finish it. But I'm glad you folks loved it. I loved it too. Shoo. I pulled that one out for sure. Thank you, my friends, so much for joining me today. There will be more info. Stay tuned to your newsletters, okay? Because we'll have more info on the live sale. What we'll do essentially is I'll go on live with our live sale app. I'll go on live at the regular time at 10:30, and then all of the pieces, all of the strands that I'm going to show you will go live all together at one time at 11 a.m., I think. And then you'll be able to shop all of the items. The thing is, just like all of our special live sales, they're going to ship from me from here. So that's going to be a separate order, kind of, right? I'll ship those out. They won't be discountable because I'm marking them at a super amazing, great price for you folks. And they're limited edition. So when they're out, they're out. So I've got limited supply. So when these go, they're gone. I'm also putting together another button live sale for you. And our button supplier was kind enough to send me some free buttons that so everyone who orders buttons, I'm going to put a little button gift in there for you. But coming up in a couple weeks, I think. So that's it. That's what I've got. So stay tuned. Janice, it is on the promo calendar. JP, we have talked about this. It's on the promo calendar. I promise you. Anyway, so Ellen's going to start taking care of the time stamping. We'll add the closure and stuff to that. And I hope you folks love it. Don't forget to enter that code Bugle20 at checkout. expires tonight at midnight on 4/24/24. And today's a palindrome date, right? Forwards and backwards. It's all 4/24/24. And you'll see this. Yeah, I'm super stoked about it. I can't wait to add it to my stack of bracelets, right? That's going to look pretty darn cool, right? I do like it better than the ready-made clasp idea. I was going to put ultra suede, but I don't think this wants ultra suede. I think this wants macrame, so I'm pretty stoked. All right, my darlings, I will see you sometime, definitely on Friday. You'll definitely have the info for this closure. We'll also add it, the finished piece, onto the project map, and I'll have Drea put it in the newsletter. All right, we pulled that out. Thanks, everybody. I really appreciate you. Do not forget, let me do this before I finally finish and say, don't forget to find us on all the socials, Facebook, Insta, Pinterest. Hit that like and subscribe button on YouTube. And if you have any questions, shout out, give us a shout out at info@beadshop.com. Drea is back fresh from her vacation. She's back on those emails, but I think I did a pretty darn good job of getting back to every single one of you. So if you emailed us last week and you didn't get a response, it means that your email went astray, but I think I got all of you. So, and it was great interacting with you as your customer service person this past week. It's always great to chit chat on email with all of you. All right, my darlings, thank you. And I will see you Friday for our live sale. Thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.